Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Utility Safety and Environment Committee meeting. The first item on the agenda is approval of the December 15th, 2021 Utilities Committee meeting minutes. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved, Madam Chair. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the matter of finding city property, which is a 2011 Ford 350 unfit for public use and no longer needed. This item has already been passed by the Finance Committee. Do we need to have Mr. Corzan discuss it again? Anyone? Not that we don't like you, Mr. Corzan.
Read the point.
You okay with that, Mr. Corzan?
Finance already passed.
Okay. Seeing that there's no objection to not discussing it again, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of finding the city has a 2011 Ford F-350 truck that is unfit for public use and no longer needed. This is a resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to declare said city property unfit for public use and no longer needed. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions?
Call for the question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the matter of finding city property, a 2011 Ford F-350 that is unfit for public use to be disposed of by the best means possible. Again, this was already passed by Finance. All of us were at that meeting. Do we need to have Mr. Corzan discuss it again? Seeing no objection to Mr. Corzan not discussing it, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of finding the city has a 2011 Ford F-350 truck that is unfit for public use and no longer needed. This is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to declare said city property unfit and to dispose of by the best means possible. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I've read the committee report. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions?
Call for the question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I apologize for that. The next item on the agenda is the matter of the 2022-2023 chemicals for the wastewater treatment plant. This was referred by Mr. Corzan. Mr. Corzan, please. I just want to note that this is the standard housekeeping that we do every year. These are chemicals that are necessary. Mr. Corzan can tell you better than I can. Please, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, this is something we do annually, and we do it annually because these chemicals that we use at the plant are commodities. And so let me take this off. And these chemicals that we use are commodities, and their prices change from year to year. So every year that we go out for bids, we hope to get a better deal than what we have this year. If I could ask that an emergency clause be added to this because of the timing of when our contracts expire on April 15th.
Through you, Madam Chair. Mr. Corzan, so since we do this every year, is there ever a possibility that we could do this, like get a contract for 2 years or 3 years? We know we need the chemicals, so why aren't we trying for 2 years or 3 years?
Yes, thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Again, the prices on these chemicals change from year to year. So if we went out for bid for a 2 or 3 year contract and say, like for example, in the pandemic year or whatever, say one of the chemicals like ferric chloride the supply and demand was such that for that 2 or 3 year period, we ended up with a really high price, which we've had in the past. So we find that going out every year gives us usually the best chances of getting lower costs for these. And when we're using, like for example, at the wastewater plant for ferric chloride, we have two 12,000-gallon tanks, and we're basically getting 4 tanker loads in like a month and a half to 2 months. So, you know, it's like we go through a lot of this stuff. So if the prices go up and we get locked into a contract for 3 years with very high prices, we're going to be paying a lot of money. So I understand, and it'd be nice to only have to revisit this every 2 or 3 years or something like that, but the way the pricing on this stuff is, it's just best to do it every year and hope that we get the best pricing. And I really do think that it keeps the chemical suppliers on their toes and sharpening their pencils when they come to bid.
Pardon me, are there any other questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if I could please get an emergency clause on this because of the contract ending on April 15th.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I will add that. Okay, it is on here, Mr. Corzine.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of the purchase of chemicals for the wastewater pollution control plant for years 2022 to 2023, and this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the purchase of said chemicals. Emergency clause requested due to existing contract expiration date. Can I get a motion, please?
So move.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so I apologize for all the distractions. We're going to keep moving forward. The next item on the agenda is the matter of the 2022-2023 chemicals for the water pumping plant. Mr. Jacobs, please.
Thank you.
I read
Look at
that.
Never mind.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobs, please.
For you, Madam Chair. Just like Terry, this is yearly housekeeping. We bid the chemicals out every year for the water plant. We'd also like this to be passed as an emergency because the water plant and wastewater plant bid everything out together.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Are there any questions for Mr. Jacobs? And I apologize. We have new people up on the Diaz, and you may not know. This is Sam Jacobs. He is the
Water team leader,
water team leader for the water plant.
water plant, water distribution, and the billing office.
Yes. And then this is Mr. Corzine, who is the superintendent of the wastewater pumping plant. So I apologize. I meant to do that, and you know, I'm getting old. I'm sorry. Are there any questions for Mr. Jacobs? Seeing none, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of purchase of chemicals for the water pumping plant for years 2022 through 2023. This is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the purchase of said chemicals. Emergency clause requested due to existing contract expiration date. Are there any, can I get a motion, please?
So move, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the matter of the water supply revolving loan account agreement through Ohio EPA for the replacement of lead service lines and galvanized service lines. Mr. Jacobs, please.
Yeah, this first ordinance is actually permission to apply for a forgivable loan up to $1 million for City of Elyria to replace lead service lines in the city. Last year we applied for 2 loans and got $1.9 million in forgivable loans from the state. There's new loans coming out. A few of us are on some committees with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, and we were told to get the application in ASAP. So the application is getting prepared now, and hopefully it'll get submitted next week. We won't know till June or July if we get it, but we wanted to be proactive and cover ourselves.
I think anytime we can get forgivable loans, that is an awesome thing. Are there any questions for Mr. Jacobs? Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. So this would be our third one we've gone after, correct?
For you, Madam Chair, correct.
Okay, so how many more? I know we're going to go as far as we can. How far in? Are we like a half done maybe, or a quarter done, or we haven't even touched the surface? You know, how many more do we have to do?
For you, Madam Chair, the second phase, which is the second loan, should be done late this spring. We're going to be close to two-thirds done. Hopefully, if we get another $1 million loan, we'll be almost done.
Oh.
It's very expensive. It's over $5,000 a tap to replace. And if when they're digging, they find out from the shut-off box on the tree lawn to the people's house, it's lead or galvanized, we have to replace that through the loan money too.
Well, the company that they got doing it are doing a great job. They've been going through some hard times, winter and stuff, and I've been down Broad Street while they've been doing portions of that, and they've been kicking butt and moving right along, so kudos to them guys.
Yeah, they were the low bidder on both Phase 1 and Phase 2 Spear Brothers.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Let me read the committee report. You okay? We're efficient, if nothing else. We have considered the matter of Water Supply Revolving Loan Account, WSRLA agreement for the replacement of lead and galvanized service lines. And this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to apply for and accept, if offered, the said loan agreement and/or grant through the Ohio EPA. Emergency clause requested so application can be submitted ASAP. Can I get a motion, please? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next matter on the agenda is the replacement of lead and galvanized service lines throughout the city, both public and private lines, and this will also go to finance. Mr. Jacobs, please.
Through you, Madam Chair. This second ordinance is authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the lead replacement lines. If we're offered the loan, we have to be ready to start construction, so we normally advertise ahead of the deadline, come up with a low price. The contractor knows if we don't get the loan, forgivable loan from the EPA, then we don't sign the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Are there any questions? Mrs. Davis?
It says public and private line. So if I thought that I had galvanized pipe, just call the city and say, I want you to check them out, or you already have this area.
For you, Madam Chair, when they did the water meter replacement project, they normally, when they put the water meter in, they could tell what's coming into your house, into the meter from the shut-off box. And we have that. The only real way to find out if you have the lead service is to have someone come to your house and go in your basement or wherever your water meter is and check that line coming into the meter. Which we can do if you let me know. I can have someone make an appointment with you and at least come out and check it.
Well, I know my pipe's been there over 50. I've been in my house 50 years, so I know. Galvanized pipe, so.
Well, normally the galvanized is from the curb box, the shut-off and the tree lawn, up to the water meter. If you do have older, we only change that. If you have other meters or other pipe in your house, there's other ways to do that through community development if you qualify. And I believe, Kathy, they still have the program, they can do it and put it on their taxes. Yeah, you can have a contractor do it, the city pays for it, and it gets attached to your taxes. There's a few programs we offer.
It's special assessment.
Oh, it's a special assessment. Okay.
Special assessment, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. So, am I correct that they used to just jam that, copper pipe through the galvanized pipe rather than tearing it all out? It seems to me I've had a few houses with that situation. So you don't have the actual galvanized pipe, but you got the copper pipe that was sleeved through it, that they've run through it. What did they do? Just nothing on those, for instances?
Through you, Madam Chair, what the procedure we're doing now is they're running new copper lines from the main to the curb box if it's found lead, and if it's lead or galvanized from the curb box, which is a shut off on a tree lawn, to the water meter, they're running a brand new line, not going through the existing.
But what do you do for some that have had that? Do they just get rid of that and just put copper and get rid of the galvanized, even though the water's not running through the galvanized?
We haven't run across any of that yet.
No. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Are there any other questions for Mr. Jacobs? Let me read the committee report. We have considered the matter of the replacement of lead and galvanized service lines, public and private lines throughout the city. And this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the replacement of said lines. Emergency clause requested. Can I get a motion, please? So moved,
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Jacobs and Mr. Corzine. The next item on the agenda is the matter of a change order number 2 for additional quantities for the 2021 crack sealing program. Engineer McKillips, please.
Good evening. Through you, Madam Chair. In 2021, Council approved a budget up to $100,000 to do crack sealing throughout the city. We bid the project out. We awarded a contract for $83,250. We had Dennis Concrete was the contractor. They proceeded to move forward throughout the city to crack seal parts of 57, Abbey Road, many streets in several neighborhoods, many concrete roads. We, it says here, we did over 188,000 lineal feet of cracks on over 47 streets, and that also includes City Hall parking lot back here, and the parking lot over at West Park and East Park. And with the additional quantities that took to do some of these additional areas, City Hall, additional park properties, and sections of Abbey Road on the north end, we did exceed the contract amount, and we did go above 10% over the contract amount, which requires council approval, which is $20,035.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. McKillop? So, crack sealing is just for the concrete streets, is that correct?
It's for asphalt and concrete.
Asphalt and concrete. Does Leo Bullock's Parkway need to be looked at? It's looking pretty ragged.
It does. I do not, at least, I know it has not been crack sealed in at least 12 years.
Okay. It's looking pretty bad.
You're correct.
Okay. Do we have a dollar amount for, I'm sorry. Do we have a dollar amount for the crack ceiling? Oh, I
Yes.
have it. Never mind. 20,000.
That's
So,
for the change order,
so the change order is 20,000. Thank you.
and that's now the total new.
Okay, thank you. Are there any, questions for Ms. McKillop? Mr. Oswald?
Just a comment, this is the biggest bang for our buck, and I don't have a problem with this 20,000 as we talked. This is maintenance, that we take care of our streets, they last longer, then we don't have to repave them. So if we stopped the plan for somehow or another, and now we're getting back on board, I think we need to continue and stay aggressive with this. And then when it comes time that, we gotta do roads, we're not having to replace them so soon, so, and they do a really good job crack filling.
And we've done crack sealing for years. This is nothing new. We've done it for years. Nothing new. So, any other questions for Ms. McKillop? If not, I'll read the committee report. Change order, we have considered the matter of change order number 2 for additional quantities for the 2021 crack sealing program. This is an ordinance authorizing the said change order for the 2021 crack sealing program. Monies for this have been appropriated in the 2022 temporary budget. The change order amount is for $20,035. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
I need a second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now, we get to talk about streets,
Here we go.
which is my absolute all-time favorite thing.
Frequency for Donna Mitchell.
Because as I've said 1,000 times, and I will say it 1,000 times over, the most important thing we do as ward council people is our residential streets. That's what our residents want, and thanks to issue 6, we've been able to deliver that. So, here we go. So how do you guys want to do that? You guys want to, how do you want to do it? Ms. Davis? Let's start at 1 and go. What's the dollar amount? Yes, ma'am. So tonight is just for a conversation. We're going to discuss what streets we would like to have done. Mrs. McKillop and her team will go out and give us dollar amounts, and then we'll see what we can do for the money that we have to work with. Mr. Pileski said that we have $1.5 million to work with, which sounds like a lot of money, but once we start naming streets, it really isn't. But we're going to make it work, like we always do. Mr. Sarah?
Through you, Madam Chair, to the engineer. I guess I'm kind of curious, has anybody from the engineer's office drove any of these streets this year, just recently?
Yes.
Because, I mean, there's a couple of them on here that I would just not agree with as far as being ranked number 2, such as Wesley, between Cleveland Street and 57, and then Poplar that runs right off of that. I mean, it looks like a war field through there, and it rides like that. And there's a few other ones that I could go on, but I don't want to be too critical on it. I just don't understand how they're rating these.
The inspectors drove all these streets. They review the streets, pavements, curbs, drainage. I'm not sure exactly, why these specific streets were ranked 2 and not 1. we had more than one inspector doing these, reviews. It's subjective, so, it's possible that, you know, if another inspector may have looked at it, then they could have ranked it differently. Obviously, as, Councilman in your ward, we can review it again. That's not a problem.
So what I would say, Mr. Sarah, is as we're going through this process, if you feel something is not ranked correctly, let Mrs. McKillop know, and they'll redo the ranking. What we're having tonight is a conversation about what streets we'd like to see done. If you'd like to see a particular street done, then we'll have that discussion as well. So let's start with Ward 1 and go through. Mr. Lippian, what streets do you think need to be done?
Sure. Well, for starters, I would like to select East Broad Street, East River to Fair Lawn. I would also like to select Dennison Park to Garford, as well as Dennison Fair Lawn to Concord.
Okay.
And then last, I would like to select Harvard Concord to Fair Lawn.
Please again, Harvard, Concord to Fair Lawn?
Yeah, Harvard, Concord to Fair Lawn.
Okay.
And then East River, so East Broad, East River to Fair Lawn. And then Dennison, Fair Lawn to Concord. And then Dennison Park to Garford.
Okay. So just so you guys know, this is like our wish list. You know, for the money that we're allotted, we'll do what we can. East Broad Street, from East River to Fair Lawn is an OPEC, is that correct? It's not an OPEC.
It's a NOACA.
NOACA. It's a NOACA. So it will get done, but it won't be issue 6 funds. It'll be through NOACA.
Okay.
And it'll be in 2023.
Right.
Okay.
But Mrs. McKillop, aren't they doing a lot of work on, is that East Broad Street now? That they're doing a lot of work? Where are they doing all the work at? Uh-huh. Where all the detours are and stuff?
Right now, that would be Mr. Jacob there.
Okay.
His lead service line replacement project is repairing, sections block by block, and that's
Okay.
what the detours are for. And that's ahead of the East Broad project that hopefully will be bidding out by the end of this year. Right now, it's either end of this year, or early next year, with construction 2023 and completion in 2024.
Okay. So then since today's discussion is about what we're spending issue 6 money on, and since the East Broad Street repavement would be through NOACA and would be 2023, then there's no need to bring it to your attention for the purposes of this itemized selection of streets to study. So in that case, I'd like to add Harvard Park to Garford then to the list, please. Thank you.
And Mr. Lippian, I will remind you, all questions come through the chair.
Oh,
Wait till
pardon me,
it's
Madam Chair,
acknowledged,
thank you.
please. Thank you. So Mr. Lippian has selected Dennison Park to Garford, Dennison Fair Lawn to Concord, East Broad Street is NOACA, Harvard Concord to Fair Lawn, Harvard Park to Garford. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, that's correct.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Davis, your turn.
Okay, first off, through you, Madam Chair, Floridale Court. Floridale Court was tore up by Metro Parks. And I just feel like Metro Parks should fix Floridale Court.
Did the work they did?
No, they did nothing. So I'm just wondering, can we make them fix that first, then to add it to my list? Because they are still using, that's part of the phase 2 of the park to finish, and they're going to be using that street a lot. So we fix it, they're going to tear it up again. So I just think it needs to be brought to their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Those big trucks that come up and down through there, but it need to be fixed. So I just, can we submit that to them first, Floridale Court?
We
Okay.
definitely can do that.
All right. Then Sheriff Street, it has a 2.5, but Sheriff Street is in bad condition. My concern is I want to submit, hopefully Mr. Snyder knows that the water is sitting so bad on Sheriff Street in the people's property, and they need a drainage down there. So should we wait and talk to them about adding that drainage before we repair the street?
Absolutely, I would think.
Yep,
God,
totally
I'm
agree.
getting good. Okay. Now, and then West River, from the 5 Point, which is Furnace, Foster, West River, and West River, I think that it could be submitted, to ODOT or NOACA. Can we try for, or whatever, because that is such a main thoroughway, from the 5 Point to 57.
We can apply for OPWC funds for that,
Mm-hmm.
but that road right there, we have, a sewer that we have to do repair on.
Okay.
And it stretches from Bond Street to Floridale. Today, we're not sure exactly how we're going to tackle that sewer. We have different, and I'm getting off subject here, but we can either replace the entire sewer, which means we would be ripping up the center of the road from Bond all the way to Floridale. Or, one thing we're looking at is seeing if we can move flow from that specific sewer over into our West Side Interceptor, and then decreasing the size into more of a local sewer, like an 8-inch sewer, and putting that sewer up in the tree lawn. In which, if that's the case, then we wouldn't be resurfacing parts of that road. So, I don't want to get too far ahead, but if we're going to apply for our OPWC funds, then those applications are usually due in September. So we can move forward with what we need to do on the sewers there, and then put an application in for that, let's say in September. If we don't end up doing something through the sewer department, we did put money in our temporary budget to tackle this sewer project, which would also cover the restoration on the pavement portion of it. So one way or the other, we can address it.
So you said that's from Bond to?
Floridale, so it'll just be that section between 5 Points to Bond
Okay.
that we need to either address or include in an OPWC application.
West River's out. Okay, then my chosen streets are Madison, from Foster to Bond. I thought Meadowfield Court was done. Penfield, from Foster to Oakwood. Bond, from West River to, nope. Bond, from Lake Avenue to Adams. There's 3, Sister Chair. There was 3 of them. And then let me try for number 4. Let me try for, Bell, from Rublin Court to West River.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. So I know we're starting this process a lot earlier than we normally do, but the mayor and engineering has asked us to try something different. So this is the first year we're actually doing it this early. The hope is we can go out to bid earlier, we can get better pricing, and actually get the streets done before the summer hits, or at least in the works. So, having said that, Mr. Corbin.
I drove the streets on my list. The service department did a great job of clearing the streets. I had no problem doing this the last day and a half, and I have the three streets that are mentioned, 427 Songbird. This was a cut-through when Chestnut Ridge was being redone last year or two years ago, and so it's taken a lot of abuse. But Pinewood, Defiance, and Songbird are at the top of my wish list.
Pinewood, Defiance, and Songbird.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Awesome, thank you.
But as I say, I was able to drive all the streets on the list, and the notations here are dead on.
Thank you. Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. First off, a question. On the first page, the highlighted yellow, that says OPWC. What does those letters stand for?
Ohio Public Works Commission.
Okay, is that something that we don't pay for, but it's gonna get done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, so.
Not our money.
So, first off, Washington Avenue from Broad Street to Hamilton. I realize right there at the intersection of Depot Street and Washington, it's terrible, but I don't feel right now it's that bad a shape. I think that it should wait, and that's gobbling up a lot of my money.
It's up to you.
So, yeah, so I would rather not do Washington Avenue. The ones that I'm gonna put on my list, and then we'll see what kind of money comes in, is Alexander. And if all they can do, depending on how that, how you have to drain to your, tip to your drains or whatever, I definitely need the cul-de-sac area done, okay? Not the whole road. Hamilton Circle has been a mess, and it's a concrete street for like ever. That one needs to be done. Hemlock, which it says 191 into the cul-de-sac, that's atrocious how bad that is. I need that done. Ohio Street from St. Clair to Glenwood, in the north entrance on Overbrook, and Vista Court. Now, I know those are a lot of streets and I may not get them, but we'll see where the money comes in, and we'll go from there. Unfortunately, all our streets, when I try to say which ones go first, they're all so bad, and it's hard to say, yeah, but you start driving them and it's like, yeah, some of them are really, really bad. So I'm done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Just to be clear, you said Alexander Drive?
Alexander Drive,
Hamilton Circle?
Hamilton Circle.
Hemlock?
Yes.
Ohio Street, St. Clair to Glenwood?
Yes.
Overbrook North Entrance?
Yes.
And that's it?
Vista Court.
I'm sorry?
Vista.
Oh, Vista Court, excuse me, I forgot that. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Ms. Simmons? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Excuse me. Yes, Ms. Davis. I want to correct someone. One of mine get done. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll take it. And so instead of Penfield, I would like to repair West River, Lake Avenue to the Gateway stop sign. Penfield. Oh. From Foster to Oakwood. Okay. Ms. Davis, I'm so sorry. Say again, please. Okay, West River from Lake Avenue, Gateway stop sign. Like to curve around West River, go curve to the right. That's mine too. To the Gateway? Oh, to Gateway, you're right. Up to Gateway. Okay.
Not on here, so I added it on here.
Okay.
On the list. West River from Lake Avenue to.
The Gatewood, got it.
Thank you for the interruption.
Thank you. Ms. Simmons?
Okay, through you, Madam President. I would like 11th Street from West Avenue to Riverside Drive as one. And I would also like 16th from Middle to West. I would also like, so they're doing West Avenue, Bears to 8th and 9th. So I would like West Avenue from 8th to 11th. Okay. And I would like George Street and State Street. I'll stop at that.
So 11th Street from West Avenue to Riverside,
Yep,
16th Street, Middle to West,
yes,
George,
yes,
State,
yes,
West Avenue, 8th through 11th.
yes.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. Mr. Sarah, you're not on the committee, but I will allow you to go ahead of me, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got the two streets that they already priced out. I would like to resubmit the other streets that I had on the original list, at least to get pricing,
Yes, sir?
so that we can make a decision going forward. So with that being said, I'm looking at, Wesley from Cleveland Street, to Route 57 at least. The Poplar from State Route 57 to White Oak. Hartford from Georgetown to the cul-de-sac. Hollywood from Georgetown to Rosewood. Salem from Georgetown to 988 Salem. And Wilder from Livermore to Georgetown.
I just want to make sure that I got them all. Hartford from Georgetown to the cul-de-sac. Hollywood from Georgetown to Rosewood. Popular Street from State Route 57 to White Oak. Salem, Georgetown to 998 Salem. Wesley from Cleveland Street to State Route 57. And Wilder from Livermore to Georgetown.
Yes, ma'am, and then Sherwood from Hartford to Georgetown. I missed that one.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Sarah.
Thank you.
So for my selection, I will take Penfield from Foster to Oakwood. And Ms. McKillop, we did a big session of West River Road, from Infirmary down to 3rd Street, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And with the next round of NOACA or OPWC, we were supposed to do from 3rd Street to the Gyro House. That's not, can we look into doing that? Or is it too late to apply for NOACA or OPWC?
I'd have to check and see about NOACA. NOACA would be,
Next year.
timing-wise, that would be,
Next year.
it would be, yeah, it would probably be a couple years out.
Okay, but if we could price it out with for issue 6, and then look and see if there's another way we can fund it as well.
Sure, we could always do OPWC.
Okay. So then I would like the intersection of Demas and Oakwood, and then Woodland from Lowell to Foster. And that's it. That was relatively painless. Are there any, Mr. Lippian?
Madam Chair,
Speaker.
Mike's not on.
Thank you. It's just that there will probably be, I'm inclined to make changes on the final, before the final copy. So this is of course a wish list item, and it's a wonderfully devised wish list. I second what Councilman Corbin said, that they appear dead on in terms of their rank ordering of the streets that are, that are needing repair in terms of the intensity of the repair needed. And just thank you, Madam Chair, very much for this meeting and having us along that aren't part of the Utilities Committee. It's been a well-done meeting, and of course, with the kerfuffles back and forth with lots of shifts in council, you've been most forgiving and most gracious, so thank you very much.
Thank you. As I said, this is just a conversation. We're just getting started. Mrs. McKillis and her team will get us pricing, and then we'll have another conversation at the next meeting. We'll see, based on the money that we have, what we can do. I've been here when we were only able to get one street done per ward. So thanks to issue 6, we can get more than one street done. So thank you, residents, for issue 6, and I will say that 1,000 times over. Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Madam Chair. Ms. McKells, Burns Road, it didn't, because of course we had some high bids come in, they had to rebid out. So what's plans on that? Did they get it rebid? Is it have to go through the whole process again? When are they going to do it?
We do need to rebid that project, and the plan is to put it out for bid here in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, so then, through you, Madam Chair, again, Clark Street. I thought originally maybe we were going to get our big pipeline going through Clark, and it's been devastated by the lead line replacement guys. Is there any plans for it going that way that you know of right now, in the direction of where it's going to connect up?
The sewer project?
Yeah.
Through you, Mrs. Chair, we do have plans to take that sewer in that direction to Fairlawn, and then once it gets to Fairlawn, south on Fairlawn. Timing-wise, I'd have to check the schedule, but we're probably at least 7, 8 years out.
Oh,
It could be even longer than that. I'll have to get back with you. But we're probably at least 3 years just to get to the other side of the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Or 3 or 4. And then once we get on the other side of the railroad tracks, we have to head down East River, we have to head down Park, we still have to head into Eastern Heights. The Clark Street Fairlawn is just a separate leg that we could do sooner than later, but I think the coordination with the devastation that the lead service line has done to it may not be coordinated very well. We can look at that, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to get that together.
Okay, it's
timing-wise.
Yeah, I know, and it's hard, and if it's 7 years down the road, can you really let it go for so long? But, yeah, you don't want to keep tearing it up. That's the hard part. We're doing so much infrastructure work, and then we don't want to tear up our good roads. So, okay, so it was just a question. Thanks.
Thank you all very much. Are there any other questions and or comments? Ms. Simmons?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I have a question. On the front, mine says West Avenue bears 9th, and in my ward it says West Avenue bears the 8th. Which is it, 9th or to 8th?
I believe it's 8th.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. There is nothing else on the agenda to come before this committee. I will consider a motion for adjournment, please.
So move.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. As I said, this is just for discussion. If you want to drive around your ward and say, oh, you know, instead of this street, I'd rather do this street, you know, let Mrs. McKillop know. And when we come back to the next meeting, she will have rankings for us and dollar amounts. And I'm asking Ted for more money so we can see what we can do. So thank you all. Have a good evening.